Thank you, Honorable Chair, Your Eminences, Most Venerables, Yogis and Yoginis, Vajra brothers and sisters. The topic of my presentation today is what is happiness from a Vajrayana perspective. Due to the shortage of time, I may not be able to cover up all my presentation, so I would like to get into the crux of my presentation. According to Buddhist theology, all the teachings that Buddha Shakyamuni gave were said to be a remedy for the sufferings of sentient beings and to achieve happiness. It is said that Buddha Shakyamuni gave 84,000 categories of teachings for sentient beings to attain happiness. And all of the teachings that he gave were categorized as the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma. So let us look at what Buddha taught on happiness in the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma. So, corresponding to the three turnings of the wheel of Dharma, Buddha Shakyamuni taught four kinds of happiness, or four levels of happiness. Number one, worldly happiness experienced by humans and gods as a result of good karma, as the great accomplished Master Nagarjuna said in his precious garland text. From non-virtue comes all sufferings and likewise all the lower realms. From virtue comes all upper realms and all happy rebirths. So, based on the basis of the law of causality, if one adopt virtuous actions, one will experience happiness. If one commit non-virtuous actions, one will encounter suffering. So that is the teaching that Buddha taught during the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. Now, the next level of happiness is what we call the transcendental happiness or the nirvanic happiness. This happiness is experienced by the arhats or the four destroyers as a result of realization of selflessness, what we call Gansa Gitame, and the 12 dependent links. The third level of happiness is the happiness that Buddha taught during the second turning of the wheel of Dharma. Here, Buddha taught that ultimate happiness can only be attained as a result of perfect realization of the union of emptiness, sunyata, and compassion. On the relative level, Shantideva, the great 7th century Buddhist master, enunciates in his text Bodhicharya Avatara. If I may quote in Dzongkha or Tibetan, Jikten Dewa Jingyepa Dekin Jende Dulejung, Jikten Dunye Jingyepa Dekin Rangde Dulejung. All joy the world contains has come from wishing happiness for others. All the misery the world contains has come through wanting pleasure for oneself. So in this context, the practice of bodhicitta or the altruistic mind to the longing wish to attain the completely awakened Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, what we call the bodhicitta, and the practice of the 6 paramitas of the transcendent virtues are the main focus of the practice on the relative level, while on the ultimate level, the understanding of the true nature of all phenomena, the union of appearance and emptiness, is of paramount importance. Only through such insight that realizes all phenomena are devoid of any true and inherent existence, one can free oneself from the bondage of cyclic existence, and through the power of compassion, that embraces all beings without exception, Bodhisattvas transcend the peaceful state of nirvana, where the arhats dwell and go on to attain the ultimate happiness. So this is the kind of happiness what we call the ultimate happiness, or the Tartuki Deva, which has been taught in the second turning of the wheel of Dharma. The fourth kind of happiness is the Vajra happiness, or the indestructible happiness. And this happiness was taught during the third turning of the wheel of Dharma. This happiness, the indestructible happiness, is said to be attained by the Mahasiddhas and Buddhas as a result of tantric practices. Now, if we think about the third turning of the wheel of Dharma, the third turning of the wheel of Dharma is the wheel of Dharma that teaches about the Vajrayana teachings. According to many prominent Vajrayana masters, such as Khenpo Karpo, omniscient Longchen Ramjampa, Mephum Rinpoche, and the great 69th J. Khenpo of Bhutan, J. Gindur Rinchen, Vajrayana teachings belong to the third turning of the wheel of Dharma. And it is said that these Vajrayana teachings took place in Danyakataka in South India, 16 years after the Buddha's enlightenment. Now, in order to understand the teachings on happiness that has been taught in the third turning of the wheel of Dharma, it's very important to understand the meaning of Vajrayana. So what is Vajrayana? Vajrayana, or the Secret Mantrayana, is called secret because it is not suitable for inappropriate vessels or immature disciples. It is called mantra because it protects one's mind from the sufferings of cyclic existence. It's called yana because it serves as a vehicle to awaken the Buddha wisdom directly. It's called Vajra because it refers to the union of wisdom and method. Through wisdom, there is the absolute understanding of emptiness, while through method, the mandala of deity practices arise clearly in a Vajrayana practitioner's mind. Vajra also means inseparable or indivisible, which means our basic Vajra nature is not only indestructible, but it is also indivisible. Vajrayana is also referred as the resultant vehicle because the fruition of enlightenment is taken as the path. Vajrayana is known as the desire vehicle because on this path, Buddhahood is attained by utilizing the objects of desire. Now, if one were to wonder how this indestructible happiness is experienced through the practice of Vajrayana teachings, for example, when an extremely realized guru confers an empowerment upon an extremely devoted and qualified disciple, the blessings of the wisdom realization of the root and the lineage gurus enter the mental continuum of the disciple, and thus an innate wisdom of blissful emptiness or the great happiness of inseparability, what we call the Mishikpi Dewa Chembo, awakens in the disciple's heart, and thereby the student or the disciple experiences simultaneous realization and liberation as a result. This is how yogis, yoginis, and Mahasiddhas experience the great indestructible happiness. On the basis of a bodhicitta and profound understanding of sunyata, all phenomena through the Vajrayana practice are perceived as devoid of inherent existence, as equal and as one single taste. This view of equanimity is the basis of sacred outlook, which is the means to perceive the Vajra world. So before I end, I would like to look at this. I would like to talk to you briefly on this excerpt from the King of Tantras, Manjushrinamasangiti, Jambal Chenje, which says, Choba Chembo Dechakche, Semje Tamche Gawarje, Choba Chembo Jedangche, Nimokingi Dachawa, Choba Chembo Dewache, Gawa Chembo Guwache. So here, the translation, the great offering is the great desire which provides happiness to all beings. So let me get on to the meaning. So when a qualified Vajrayana practitioner brings all his or her experiences of emotions onto the path as great joy and great bliss. All delusions such as desire, anger, ignorance, greed, jealousy, and so forth are utilized onto the path as favorable conditions for awakening the fundamental innate wisdom mind. Therefore, in this Tantra, the King of Tantra, Manjushrinamasangiti, it is said that as we recognize the true essence of our ordinary delusions, such as desire, anger, ignorance, as the Buddha wisdom, these transformed delusions in their ultimate purity becomes the greatest offerings to the Buddhas, the most excellent expression of generosity, and the supreme conqueror of all delusions. Therefore, our qualified Vajrayana practitioners who possess this Vajra wisdom quality experience the greatest of all bliss, the pinnacle of all happiness, and the most supreme contentment. It is said that this Vajra happiness can only be attained by relying upon the tantric skillful means, and without it cannot attain this indestructible happiness whatsoever. The Maya Jala Mula Tantra, Jutul Tsawigit, says, Zokpisangye Kangdetang, Dejin Kangdak, Majunpa, Tatarjumi Zoksangye, Dekin, Dedakinchang Sangaki, Choga Sangbo, Dikene, Tamje Kemba, Tsemenge. And the translation is, all the Buddhas of the past, future, and present will attain and attain the inconceivable omniscient wisdom, the indestructible happiness, only by relying upon the skillful method of the Secret Mantrayana. So to conclude, I would like all to invite to join me to recite this beautiful prayer from Shantideva, the Dzongkha, in Dzongkha or Chöke, Doyu Dunye Menchibu Dewa Tamchi Juin, Temba Nyedan Kurte Chete Yuri Nejurchi. Can we all recite the following verse together? May the sole remedy of all the sufferings in the world, the only source of every happiness, which is the Dharma teachings, be upheld in reverence and prevail through a continuum of time. Tashi Delet, and thank you very much.